Welcome to this video demonstration of AcuInvoice. My name is Sidney Van Ness. I'm the CEO of AcuMantra Solutions, the makers of AcuInvoice. And I just wanted to take a minute to walk you through the basic steps of creating an invoice, sending it to a customer, and then I'd like to also show you what a customer would go through to remit payment for that invoice using one of several integrated payment gateways. So what I've done is I've created a fake AcuInvoice account, and I'm going to go on and log in here. What you'll see here is an empty dashboard in AcuInvoice. I don't have any draft or open invoices at all, no tags, nothing. The only thing that I've done to this account so far is I've created one fake client myself, and I've also created a payment gateway. I've integrated Amazon FPS. I'm not going to click on that right now because it actually has our live payment gateway information in there, but it's very simple. You just click on the payment gateways tab and you just type in your information and save it, and the integration is instant. So let's go on and create an invoice. You can create a new invoice from any screen within AcuInvoice simply by looking on the left hand side. You can create a new invoice or a new client from anywhere in the application. So let's click create a new invoice. It automatically creates an invoice ID. You can see that I've created a couple of invoices from within this account for other various testing purposes. So we're on invoice ID number 1003 at this point. I'm going to go on and select the client that I had previously made. If you have multiple clients, they'll obviously all be in here. We're soon going to have a little Ajax trick where you can start typing in the name of the client and matches will start appearing. Or you can enter a new client, which we don't have to do here. I'm just going to leave the default settings. We're going to have US currency. Let's not worry about tax for now. We'll say this is a net 15 invoice and that if it's not paid, it's 1% late fee per month. We'll just have a test item. And that's the only item we're going to have. We'll say here is your invoice. And we'll save it. Saving this invoice turns it into a draft state. This has not yet been sent to the customer. The draft state allows you to go in and add new line items at a later date before you send it off to the customer. However, when you're ready to send it, you can either click here on the send button on the left hand side, or you can click send right here. And you can see that there's a history that's created right here from when the invoice was initially created. So I'm going to hit send, and what comes up is a little message area that allows you to type a note to your customer. Thanks for your business. This note will be pre-pinned to the default text that is included in the email template. So if you want to edit the email template, you can go to My Account Email Templates to edit the text of what is sent by default in all invoices. For each invoice that's sent in AcuInvoice, if you've enabled one of the payment gateways, you'll have the option of enabling it right here. So you could have all 5 of them enabled, and you could give your clients the option of using one of these 5 gateways. Since I've only enabled Amazon FPS, we're going to use that here. So I'm going to go on and send this invoice, and it'll fire off to my inbox. And so you can see now that it's an open invoice. If we go to the main invoices dashboard, we'll see it's open. It's not yet been viewed by the client, but it is in an open state. Now I'm going to go over to my email client, and what we should see in just a minute is the invoice will land in my inbox. And so let's go over here. I'll get my mail. Here's the invoice. It just showed up. When AcuInvoice sends out an invoice, currently it only sends out a link. The reason is because this is a lot easier to track the view of the invoice. So I'm actually going to just copy this and go back to Firefox here and open this invoice. So now I'm viewing the invoice from the perspective of the client. So you can see here's the invoice, the line items, and you can see that the history has been updated in real time. We have Sidney Van Ness, the sender, creating, then sending the invoice, then Sidney Van Ness, again, me, the viewer, viewing it here a couple of minutes later. So there's a complete history of what's happened with the invoice in the history and comments section. Now if I go back to the dashboard from the person who sent the invoice and refresh the screen, if I refresh the screen, it should say viewed by client here in a minute. So let's go on and do that. And indeed, it has been viewed by the client. So we have full accountability with this system here. It's quite nice in that regard. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pay this invoice. The integrated payment gateways show up on the left-hand side of all the invoices. Right here you can say pay with, it says pay with Amazon.com. If we had Google Checkout or PayPal or Authorize.net or ToCheckout.com enabled, they would show up here as well. We plan on modifying the invoice layout somewhat to where it's a little bit more obvious where these payment gateways are and that they all actually enable you to pay with credit cards. There's been a little bit of confusion from some clients on that, so we will be clarifying that shortly. So I'm going to go on and click on Pay with Amazon.com. I have an existing account, and I like using Amazon FPS because I can do these demonstrations, and my credit card information stays anonymized to the rest of the world, so that's quite nice. So I'm going to choose to pay this with my American Express that's on file. Click Continue. Goes through all my information. I click Confirm. It's processing the payment. Now what's happening now is it's not just processing the payment, but it's also going to communicate back to AcuInvoice that the invoice has been paid. And you can see it redirects back to the invoice, and it has converted this invoice into a closed state. So the invoice just in the last few minutes has been created, sent, viewed, paid, and then converted into a closed state by AcuInvoice all automatically. And so you can see that it's added this payment description here, Amazon.com, and then a transaction ID number, and then it's also been added to the invoice history. If I go back now to the screen from the person who sent the invoice and refresh it, it should not just be viewed, but it should also be converted into a closed state and should appear down here. So let's go on and refresh this invoice. And indeed, here it is in the closed state. So this has been a demonstration of the very basic process of creating an invoice with an existing client, sending that invoice to that client with an enabled payment gateway, viewing the invoice, confirming that it's been received, and then finally paying that invoice and converting it automatically into a closed state. This is the core functionality of AcuInvoice around which a lot of other things are based. So I hope you've enjoyed this demonstration, and please contact us at support@acuinvoice.com if you have any questions.